getting it for us. Sipho, very good morning to you. What are you learning? All right, it seems that just by the sound of it, it seems that I've lost audio. We're going to try and re-establish connection with Sipho Stuurman. But let's just shift gears a bit. We are building up to the International Women's Day, which is on Sunday. Now, ahead of that, some of Africa's most dynamic thought leaders, industry game changers and icons of social activism are set to feature at this year's Forbes Women Africa Leading Women Summit. It's taking place at the Inkosi Luthuli International Convention Centre in Durban tomorrow. And to tell us more, we're joined in our Durban studios by Renuka Me-thil, Managing Editor of Forbes Women Africa. Renuka, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you as well, Blaine. Thank you for having me in the studio.
It's a great pleasure to have you here. Look, this is billed as becoming, one of the biggest female empowerment events. Why? How does this event intend to empower women?
So, first of all, I'd like to say that you mentioned the biggest. Yes, we've built it up over the last 4 years. This is our 5th milestone event. This is the second time we're hosting it in Durban, and I'd like to go beyond the words female empowerment. I think it's becoming far too cliched. Talks of the glass ceiling and female empowerment. I think we should talk about constructive and concrete female leadership that we already have on the continent. And that is why this year we've picked the theme, The Ceiling Crashers 2.0, Power with Purpose. So everything goes beyond just power and profit. It's about meaning. It's about social impact. It's about changing the narrative and the discourse on the continent towards something more constructive and something more concrete for the future, for the next generation of leaders. And
let's just talk. Sorry, Renuka, let's just talk about that, the next generation of leaders. There is no doubt that there's a growing number of women in leadership. In terms of, increasing this number even more, do you think government and business adequately factors this into their various strategies?
Unfortunately, Blaine, most of it is just tokenism and lip service, to be honest. Why else would you not have enough female representation in the private sector, or even in the JSC top listed companies? You don't have that many female CEOs. In fact, there are none in the top 40. There are just 2 names that I can think of that have just come on board now. But we need more representation. There's not many female CEOs. The figures are appalling. It's just 5%. And this is, we have 51% of the population in Africa is female, and that sincerely is not a great figure to go with. So that is why summits such as these are very important. We need to convene and reconvene gatherings such as this, just to increase the decibel on these conversations and to reiterate the fact that we do have good female leadership. There are good role models, and they have already set the template of success, and they need to keep talking about it or keep shining the light for the younger generation so that they know, seeing is believing, so that they see these people on stage and know that it's an intergenerational dialogue and they can also get to those places no matter the challenges. But you're right, the private sector and the government, they need to do more. There needs to be more action on the ground and not just merely lip service.
So this year's theme, as you mentioned, is the Ceiling Crashers 2.0, Power with Purpose. I guess the ideal is a fully inclusive society. Strides, no doubt, have been made in this regard, Renuka, but you would agree we're not there yet. Talk to us about the urgent need, I guess, to dismantle certain like power plays in order to get to the proverbial mountaintop and to a point where we can say that we are or have a truly inclusive culture in business and society?
See, it's going to take a long while to actually reach that reality. I mean, the World Economic Forum itself says it's going to take another 100 years or even more to achieve globally, to achieve gender equality or gender pay parity. It's going to take a very long time. I mean, we might probably find a cure for aging before that, before we even have gender equality in the world. It's very unfortunate that we still have this discussion. Gender is even a discussion point in boardrooms and in society. We need to go beyond that. We need to think of ways in which women are disrupting the power structure. They are changing the dynamic. And I firmly believe that it's important to get the other half of the humanity into the conversation. We're not letting the men lead the conversation, but we need to get them in, because there are many male gender advocates out there. There are the few certified good men who can help in this regard, because they have had a head start in business, and we need to tap into their networks. We need to tap into the so-called boys clubs to get to their networks, and they need to help us in this regard as well. They're not going to lead the conversation, but they need to be included as a part of the dialogue. Only then it becomes a dialogue. Otherwise it just remains a monologue.
100%. Look, activism, Renuka, in general is important in order to affect change, be it social, be it political. But what about environmental activism? I would say, that is of great importance, especially when dealing with what we're dealing with now with regards to the existential threat that climate change poses. We need more youth, like the likes of Greta Thunberg, for instance, in order to take charge and lead this cause.
No, absolutely. Environmental, political, business, you can see these are younger role models trying to change the discourse, and it needs to be an intergenerational, multidisciplinary dialogue for sure. It's about collaborative, action at the end of the day, where even companies get together and form a sort of a gender alliance where they're promoting this reality a lot more, or where there are actual gender strategies in place, and there's private and public partnership in dealing with some of the issues. And we talk about 4IR all the time. We need to see how the fourth industrial revolution will also be a revolution for women. And digitally, if you're able to achieve that, I think even these issues like climate change or any of the other issues of the day can be easily tackled by getting in this other half of humanity. I mean, we get to harness the full human capital, and that is what these summits will help achieve in the end. As I said before, it's increasing the dialogue on the topical issues of the day and getting the other half of the human potential involved in making that positive change in the world.
Right. Renuka, I understand you have a raft of thought leaders and industry game changers this year. Who's on the bill?
Well, I'd like to think, so last year we had the entire event was headlined by Naomi Campbell. This year I'd like to think that every speaker is a keynote speaker, because they come with some very strong credentials. We've got some exciting panels lined up, and there's some interesting talks as well. One of the panels that I can talk about now is a mother-daughter conversation where the minister, Naledi Pandor, talks to her entrepreneur daughter, Aisha Pandor, and then she tells the audience about how to raise a successful CEO or the billionaires or the millionaires of tomorrow. We've got South African songstress Lira speaking about her business ventures. We've got a former Miss Universe from 2011, Leila Lopez, who's an Angolan, who's come in all the way from the US. We've got a number of key speakers from government and also the private sector. We've got tech entrepreneurs, and we also have a panel with male feminists. So we're going to put them on the spot and ask them how they are going to lead gender strategies in corporate Africa.
It's all in the build-up to International Women's Day, the Forbes Forbes Women Africa Leading Women Summit. It's a mouthful, but it means a lot, I guess. It's interesting conversation taking place at the Inkosi Albert Luthuli International Convention Center in Durban tomorrow. It's expected to draw, I understand, an audience of around 1,000 leading women. Renuka Me-thil, Managing Editor of Forbes Women Africa, thank you very much indeed.